In this episode, my good friend Julijana Nikolis interviews entrepreneur, model and former Miss Australia, Kate Johnson.
Hi, it's Juliana from Woman and Beyond, and I am here with Kate and Maya.
She comes everywhere with me.
She's so cute.
She wanted the interview as well.
Of course. So, Kate, you are a successful businesswoman, international model and charity ambassador and Air Force Cadet officer. I mean, I don't know where to begin. How do you describe yourself?
I think it depends on how long I have with a person. It's always interesting when you meet someone new and they're like, so what do you do? And I'm like, how much time do you have? Yeah. But it's always, you can always connect with someone on one particular thing. So obviously if I've got my Air Force Cadet hat on as an instructor, it's obviously much more along the lines of youth development and aviation. If I'm at work, graphic design, digital design, it's always about strategy and platforms and amazing fonts because they're just beautiful.
Wow.
And then obviously in pageants as well, that's where you can get a little bit more girly and talk about fashion designers and makeup and who's who, and yes, they did wonderfully, in their last competition, or I love your walk on stage, or you can always find something to relate to with everyone.
Well, that's it. You're the best of everything: brains, beauty, and brawn. There you go.
I love you.
So I just want to begin. Which one did you start first, business or modeling? Because from what I know personally, I find it so fascinating how you, like you said, balance everything. So I just want to know where it first started.
Well, balance is a work in progress, isn't it, Maya? Because even with her, it's just like, where you been? Okay, business definitely came first. Okay. Modelling, as much as I guess yourself and a lot of people have only ever known me as a model here in Sydney. But no, it was just my days in Darwin was a far cry from modelling, let me just say. In Sydney and Melbourne, you'll have the opportunity of being around advertising companies and marketing companies and magazines, and growing up in Darwin, you don't have access to that. So when you're flicking through a magazine, it's like, I'll never be one of them. But also having the frizzy hair and the braces and the glasses, you're kind of like a triple threat. So it's like, oh, this is definitely not me.
Well, here you are, and you look absolutely beautiful.
So if I had have known I was kind of going to turn out like this and having the, develop your personality a little bit more and realise that there's life beyond just beauty. Life is good. So I guess when I finished school, I actually had no idea what I wanted to do. And as heavily influenced as I was by the Indiana Jones series, and I'm so going to be an archaeologist. And
that's the next step.
Next step is
next
just
career.
Okay, I'm really into art, and technology was fast becoming a trend, so it made sense to combine the two, and that was graphic design. So I went straight from high school to university, finished my certificate 4, went on to do my advanced diploma, and then I really wanted to work overseas, so I finished a bachelor, and then as soon as I finished that, went over to Washington DC for a summer camp, and then stayed for another few months. And I came home and I just had the travel bug, and it's like, I've got to go. So the same deal that a lot of Aussies and Kiwis do, it's that rite of passage. So you apply for a visa and go work in the UK for a year. And so I worked, picked up a job on Oxford Street as a web and graphics designer, had the most amazing time, travelled Europe, and then came home and it was like, okay, wow, now what?
What's next?
So it was really when I was over in London, I was scouted by a photographer in Covent Garden, and it's the usual thing where it's like, are you a model? Do you want to get into modelling? And I'm always that edge of caution. It's not so much, oh my God, I'm dying to be famous. It was more like, are you legit? Like, what are you doing? So I grabbed his business card, and then anyway, we'll fast track it forward. I did a couple of runway shows for John Lewis and a couple of catalogue shoots, and came home, and that was when a friend of a friend was setting up a modelling agency. And it was just one of those, what's the worst that could happen? And I kind of really fell into it by accident, and it started off with a couple of charity runway shows for the National Breast Cancer Foundation. I was their ambassador for a few years in the territory, and by that point I'd laid plans to move to Sydney. As a lot of people say, like the small town girl moves to the big smoke, and yeah, just sort of took off from there.
I mean, it seems like it must have been a blur for you during that time, but
it all made sense at the time. It happened very slowly, but sort of looking back, I just think, did that really happen? Yeah. Where did that even come from?
Yeah. Well, I guess now you've, as I've read, that you've been in part of many major projects with I'm pretty sure it was Ted Baker and Nike and Do you want to just talk about like how you progressed in the modelling industry and how you got more and more?
So it was really fun because I guess being a graphic designer and in business and then also merging into modelling, the same projects I worked on as a graphic designer, I also modelled for. So it was really interesting having like my image that I was also putting into the collateral for these different brands.
Wow.
So yeah, I've always felt that's one of the career sort of highlights where you can, I guess, see both sides.
Exactly.
And particularly moving much more into the mentoring now that I wouldn't say I'm done, but I've had my time on the international stage in pageants and have now sort of not come to the end, but I've just become much more selective in the model campaigns that I choose and doing it more as like a casual fun thing versus this is my hardcore career. It's just really nice to be able to see both sides because very few usually do.
That's it, definitely, and that's what makes you different among everyone else.
Here we are with like chihuahua hair all over.
So yes, you did in 2014. You did win the Mrs. Australia International. And you travelled to Florida.
I did
to compete. So how did that change everything? How did that change you, and how was that experience?
That was a roller coaster. Like 2014 for me, I think for anyone who knows me, it was like the highest of highs and the best, but also I guess some of the low points as well. And everything happens for a reason, and it's one of those, if you're not happy, it's not the end. So for the time that I was in the pageant, it was such a blur because it was media interview after event, after getting all dressed up, and as much as modelling and pageantry, it's the done thing to have your hair and your makeup perfect and have, being in with fashion designers and stylists to make sure you're wearing the latest thing and promoting brands. Every now and again, you really just like, I just want to sit on the couch and eat pizza in my tracky dags.
And just relax.
Is that so hard? Like, do I ask so much? But it's 12 months and you just have to make the most of it. And at the end of the day, I'd compete. It was my second attempt at competing. So the first time, Jordane Chataway from Adelaide won, and I was so privileged to come second to her because she deserved it. She's one of the most incredible people that I've met. And the following year I won. So it was just like, yes, I've worked so hard for this. And I was representing Ovarian Cancer Australia at the time. And that was a cause that was incredibly close to my heart because my aunt had passed away from ovarian cancer in the lead up. So that in itself was a platform that was really close to home, but also something that I had to, I guess, deal with cameras around, and that was a challenge in itself, a good personal challenge. And then when I competed internationally, I decided I wanted my platform to be much more of a global issue, and that was teen self-esteem. And for me, I've always thought being the person that you needed when you were a teenager, I found my why. And it sounds so cliche when you say, oh yeah, I did a pageant and that just changed my life. And you sort of think, oh, you're just another one of those girls, like, please. But it's so true because the pageant that I chose was specifically platform-based, which meant that you had a charity that you represented. The international level was the American Heart Association, and your Australian platform could be whatever you chose. So I worked really closely with the Touch of Goodness Foundation and Sylvie Boutros, who's a really good friend of mine and also the founder. She has a heart of gold, and it was just a privilege to be able to connect with so many of the schools and community groups, and also through blogging and my social media. Here I am thinking, I'm just that Darwin girl, and all of these people were like, Kate, that's so amazing, thank you for sharing your journey. And you're really putting yourself out there. Like, here's a photo of me as a teenager, and you just think, this is the ugliest photo, and I was bullied so much in school, but here I am now totally owning it. And it really encouraged other people to be much more authentic as well. So even posting a selfie that, you're not wearing makeup, there's no filter. I wake up looking like a poodle in the morning. I have the frizziest hair, but you just sort of, you just work with it, right?
But I mean, like, we all relate to that.
We don't all
wake up flawless. Like Beyonce.
Like today, right? I mean, I totally wake up like this. Yeah.
No, but that's it's very inspiring that you do have a platform that does really resonate with you. And have you continued to raise up on that platform, and have you picked up on any other charities along the way during that journey or after that journey?
I haven't picked up any more charities to work with. I guess I'd rather just focus on the few that I am working with. So Ovarian Cancer Australia and the Touch of Goodness Foundation would definitely be my favourites. Otherwise, a lot of my message I'm happy just putting out on social media. And you can follow if you want, and if you choose that what I'm saying is a little bit too out there, and I take my work seriously, but not myself. So sometimes when I'm relentlessly, like, clearly taking the piss out of other models in the industry, people who are really serious about it, like, Kate, like, you're one of them. Why are you doing this? And I just think beauty is not makeup, and there's so much integrity and authenticity that you need to bring to your work and your life. And when I see people not doing that, it's just come on, have a laugh, and don't take yourself so seriously.
Exactly.
And I guess that perspective has come from going through all of the ordeals that I have. And you're unique, but your situation is not. So there's always going to be someone who's come from a broken family. In my situation, being assaulted as a teenager, having a late-term miscarriage in a relationship, it's all of those things that really shape who you are. And for a very long time, I was very happy just to do the modelling and to have that small validation of like, oh, Kate, you're so beautiful and you're doing so well and you're so successful. And that was one thing. But then on the other side, I just think there's so much that people don't know about me. I'm not just that picture perfect smile that's been edited that you see online, and I really wanted to make sure that authentic me comes out.
Yeah, well, I can just definitely say personally that for my first modelling experience, like Kate has definitely inspired me to continue and helped me realise that modelling is not all about surface, that there is hard work and there is substance to go along with it. It's not just all about picture perfect. And for you and your success, I mean, the definition of a role model, like to use your success to inspire others to succeed. I mean, I find that.
That's so heartwarming. Thank you.
No, but I'm so honest about that, like definitely. So, and you mentioned about your blog. Do you want to talk about what?
Yes. So
involved?
I actually, years and years ago, I thought, I really want to write a book. And the advice I was given was, you should start a blog. And it started off with starting into modelling. No one in my family, no one in my peer group had any idea about the industry. So it was kind of a fun way, without putting up on your Facebook timeline, here's me on set, here's me doing a runway. So I put it on a blog. And so if people wanted to read what I was up to, or how they did the makeup, or the companies, or what are you wearing, you can just go to my blog and check it out. And after a while, it was just like, fashion and beauty and makeup is so not me. And then it just became much more real, like food and dogs and authentic stuff, like how you actually feel when you get rejected, and going to a casting and what it's really like. And particularly because there were a number of years there where I just shot commercial swimwear and lingerie, there's not a lot of hiding in terms of how you look and therefore how you feel. So it means that you're continually surrounded by people who are looking at you subjectively and objectively. And I just think there's so much more to you. And for as long as you don't require that validation on someone telling you how beautiful and glamorous you are, it's more, wow, that actually makes me feel amazing. And people always remember how you made them feel, not what you said and what you wore. So the blogging then turned much more into my charity platform and my pageant journey and my own personal stories as well. So it can be quite revealing and really confronting when you're sort of sitting here having a conversation with someone who's like, so tell me about yourself, and you start talking about the real stuff and they're just overwhelmed. So it just became that go-to if you want to learn a little bit more about me, or if you have a teenage son or daughter who's going through something similar, here's my experience and here's my advice on how to sort of tackle that. So I'd love to get back into it. I've actually taken a little bit of a break the last few months, so it's something that I really want to start generating again.
And how about the book?
The book is still coming along. I've got the title down pat, which I've decided I'm going to call it Rainbows, and it's that classic, you don't get the rainbow without a little rain.
I like that.
So everyone has a story and a journey that they're going through, and this will be mine.
Wow. Well, I had a look at the blog, your website, which we will mention later on, how we can contact you and follow up with you and see all your cute photos of my little
my social media is pretty
chai
much
latte
like
and everything.
Dogs and avocado, because it's the best food group on the planet.
No, I know, I love it. And I had a look at the blog, and what I saw first up was that you just released your lip gloss.
I have.
set, and I mean, just looking at the six shades, I just want to know first off, what is your favorite color? Because they're all like,
oh, that's such a good question. I only chose 6, and it's become much more in that philosophy that I've really adopted in that minimalist sort of lifestyle, where if you don't love it or you don't use it, get rid of it. And I just think that just sets you free. So years and years ago, when I first started modelling, it was very commonplace to have 3 or 4 kilos worth of makeup, and anywhere you travelled, you always had tons of suitcases worth of stuff. And after a while, you sort of think, what does all this mean? And this is not me. And so it became, every day when you're in the makeup chair, you have no idea what sort of toxic stuff is going on your skin. And particularly being such an animal lover, I just think the beauty industry has so much to answer for in cruelty towards animals, and it's just such an unnecessary thing. So years and years ago, where conflict diamonds weren't a thing, and now no one will wear a diamond if it's from any of those sort of blood-ridden places where kids are used as slaves. And fur and leather and all of that sort of thing is fast becoming that. But I think the next thing is going to be cosmetics. And if it's tested on animals and it's not natural or organic, I'm pretty certain the way that women and consumers are going is they just won't touch it. So for me, it wasn't so much a getting on the bandwagon. It was really starting to revolutionise. This is me, and I'm not the only one that could be feeling this. So for me, the important thing was just making sure it was something that was ethically sourced and cruelty-free. So it was a solid 8 months of certification, but I'm really proud to have PETA-certified my lip glosses. And I chose 6 because, again, that minimalist sort of thing, it's 6 shades that will suit every wardrobe change.
Wow. Well, yeah, seeing that it is PETA certified, I mean, do you believe that it is time that businesses and companies do focus on actually making products that are not only safe for ourselves, but safe for...
Absolutely, because it's not one of those things where you need to strive to look young and strive to have the latest product that would be tested on animals. It really is the thinking and acting ethically.
Well, I had a look and I saw that it's very popular on social media. Everyone is getting the latest lip gloss. I don't know how they decide which one to choose. Anyway.
So my go-to is the Swiss Alps, which is the clear, and also the peony pink.
Ooh.
Because they're my 2 go-tos.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I had a look, and from what I can see, it's such a big buzz now, and I've seen that it's actually been included in the Cosmopolitan magazine.
Yes.
How do you feel? I mean, that must be really exciting to
That was my first really big gig, and particularly only being on the market for a mere 2 months to be able to be picked up by Cosmo Magazine. It was like... Yeah. Really? Did this just happen? And from that, it gave me a lot of great exposure online. So it generated a lot of sales, and it's sort of coming in from there. So it's really heartwarming to know that people are buying the brand because it's got my name attached to it, and it's something that I believe in, and they also think it's authentic. But also new girls who sort of think, oh wow, this is so cool, and I love the colours and it matches this. And to get that sort of feedback in that this is great, I'm vegetarian or I'm vegan or anything like that, and to get that sort of feedback, it's like, oh wow, thanks guys, I love it.
Yeah, it's good that because now you are actually showing that it is a lifestyle to actually it's not only a diet. But it's also a lifestyle to use products, and obviously I can see that you are health conscious and you are obviously very...
I try to be. I'm just going to be real and put it out there. I still do enjoy fried chicken. And I have been known to eat McDonald's after a pageant, I'm not going to lie. But in saying that, I do get up at 5 and I do love my green smoothies, and I do live a balanced, healthy lifestyle.
It's good. There's nothing wrong with it.
With exceptions. Yeah. Everything in moderation.
Balance. Again, balance. Balance is everything. So are you thinking of storyboarding any other products? Are you in that step yet to actually think of another...
I'm actually going through the phase, and I will share with you a little bit. So I'm working on a new formula. Okay. And I would actually love to expand the range into other products. So I will keep you posted.
There you go. We just got some sneak peek into something.
Maya will tell you about it.
Maya will tell me about it.
Next time.
Oh, I really want to ask you about Air Force Cadets.
Yes.
Because I'm not sure...
This is a side of my life that very few people know about. It's kind of funny.
Well, I definitely resonate because for me, obviously not as high ranky as you are, but for me, I am like the lower, I'm like the corporal, so obviously I don't know why I'm not saluting you now. So can you tell us about what your part is? Like what's your role in that?
So I joined the Australian Air Force Cadets as a very young, impressionable 13-year-old, and like most teenagers who have an affiliation with aviation, we're heavily influenced by Top Gun. I'm just going to put it out there. So I have a twin brother, and anything that he could do, I could do too. So he and his friend wanted to join, and it was just that, not without me. So we all went along to the orientation night, and I was one of the only girls in a room full of 60 young boys. And I didn't actually recognise that until someone pointed it out after a year. And it's like, I think because I was raised a child, not a daughter. And because I've always had my twin brother, Adam, it was just like, I'm just one of the boys. And just having fun. And I think that's probably why I've also had a lot of guy friends, because there's no drama. And it's only when you want to actually talk about makeup and stuff, it's like, I'm just going to go hang out with girls.
Yeah, but I guess it brought out that competitive side to you.
It did. So joining as a 13-year-old, it was like, this is fun. I can hang out with the boys. I can go camping. This is all me. And then after 6 months, we both went to a promotion board, and we were reclassified to leading cadet. That then meant that we were eligible for our corporal promotion course, and both of us, we both made the top 10. And then 6 months in, I was offered the opportunity to go on the sergeant's course ahead of him and my peers. So I'm like, yes, I'm better than you. So that was Christmas and New Year holidays down at RAF Base Edinburgh in Adelaide. And back then it was a drive. So we got the bus between Darwin and Adelaide, and that was a solid 2 days. And then we were down there for 3 weeks learning everything from aircraft recognition, drill and ceremonial.
And you got your flight license.
The works, and came back home, was promoted, and again we moved up the ranks again. So for me, I went on to be a cadet warrant officer, so I was a drill instructor for 3 years, and my brother went on to do the cadet under officer, which he stayed in for a year. And once you turn 20, I guess you sort of time out, so you pretty much have the opportunity to go into the community and use your 7 years experience in the cadets to be a better person. You have the opportunity to join the Permanent Defence Forces, either Navy, Army or Air Force, because you have that background. It's not a fast track too, it's more you've got that experience. And for me, I didn't want to just give it away completely and move on, and I also didn't want to move into I guess a full-time career in the Air Force, because back then coming in as an administration officer when you're working as a graphic designer didn't really quite mesh for me. So I really enjoyed coming back as an adult instructor. So I'm now a corporal, going for my sergeant's promotion as an instructor in cadets, and it's the longest relationship I've had outside of my parents, because this year will be my 21st year involved with the organisation.
Wow.
And
congratulations.
Like you say, I learnt to fly as a teenager. I was one of only 2 women in the whole of the territory that was awarded a scholarship. So there are all of those things where I think the camping and the flying and those sort of experiences like really make you who you are. And it means that you can also then relate to so many other people, because there's so many different facets of your life that you can sort of pick up from. So as much as I'm not a full aviation geek, I'm also not a full military geek, but it's just something that I love. It's just the best hobby, and to be now as an instructor, to be a part of those influential years, like you're working with teenagers between 13 and 20, and that's a really significant time. You know, you see them come from broken homes, they're a little bit lost, and as much as you never say the Air Force Cadets as an organisation is a family, it really is, you know, and I always find it an absolute privilege to be part of that journey, and to see them now. Like, it was only a few months ago I was at the aviation show in Avalon, and there were so many of the former cadets that were coming up going, "Hi Kate, I don't know if you remember me," and it's like, oh my god, look at you. And they're a fast jet pilot, they work on C-17s, they're engineers, and I just think I am so proud of you, and it's just such a blessing and a privilege to have been part of that journey. So that's why I do it.
So as instructor, what would be your favourite part? Would it be drill? Would it be field work, survival? Who loves drill,
I think
man?
Valentine's Day is like Drill Appreciation Day. I'm just going to put it out there.
Yeah.
So when I was actually based at a squadron in the territory, I was anywhere from an administration officer to a training officer. On a promotion course, I ran drill, instructional technology, kind of the works, but now my role is much more digital. I guess having the background that I do as a graphic designer and digital designer, I run the social media with the PR and marketing team and branding in headquarters. So my squadron is Wi-Fi, and it's great that it was sort of based all over Australia, but the joys of the internet means the place is very small. And now my involvement is making sure that the Australian Air Force Cadets is showed for what it is on social media and online.
I've heard that actually in some parts of Australia, some squadrons are going through construction to actually expand, because obviously compared to cities like Sydney and Brisbane and Perth, like the squadrons compared to the inner Australian squadrons are quite vast in differences, and obviously the numbers as well. Are you part of that in actually building and constructing, trying to help fundraising for that?
We are all part of, I guess, the clog in the machine. So my role, I guess, being purely digital, it's getting out there in the community to make sure that parents, interested members of the community are just interested in the Air Force Cadets and what it's all about. And then someone else sort of takes over in terms of the actual recruitment and the driving and the sourcing, logistics and all that sort of thing. It's amazing. There are some squadrons that do disband because they don't have the numbers, or it's in a region where the town's obviously closing down because of mining or for whatever reason. But at the same time, we're nearly 10,000 members strong at just on 300 squadrons. So we are the largest youth aviation organisation in Australia. So it's an exciting time. What a time to be alive.
It is, definitely. Oh, well, you are definitely, as you spoke, like in like all these different fields. Do you find that there's something similar within all of them that you can actually just, like, I don't know if it's competitiveness or if it's resilience, because I'm sure there's something among, from pageantry to modelling to Air Force Cadets to business. There must be something that you find similar that actually connects to each one of them.
They do. I wouldn't say competitive is a word that I would use to describe myself. I am competitive, but I'm a quiet achiever. And I think the one thing that connects, that's why I connect. The one thing that connects with all of them is that I guess whether it's graphic design or modelling or working the role that I have with, this is so Australian, I love it. And you're like,
it's a live backdrop.
We are not in the studio anymore. The one thing that really connects them all, like if I can just say it in layman terms, you're like, you just make other people look good. But at the same time, it's that heartwarming feeling that you're making a difference. And so it doesn't matter what line of work you're doing, who you're speaking to, you're making a difference and a contribution to my life, and it's nice that I'm able to give that back as well. That's the connection.
So I've heard that you'll be travelling soon. Where are you travelling? You want to tell us about that?
This is exciting. So I've just started working for this amazing fintech company called SpotCap, and I got the job as a digital media executive or digital marketing executive for the Australian New Zealand markets. And who would have thought fintech is so much fun? It is the best team. I feel I've only been going into my 5th week, and I feel like they're all my family. My boss is amazing. I get to work with one of my best friends who I also know in modelling and pageantry. It's a small world. And they're sending me to Berlin to meet the headquarters team. So the company is headquartered in Berlin, and we've got offices all over the world. And as much as I'm in Sydney, they just want me to come over and meet the team. So it's 2 weeks work trip to Berlin. I'm so excited to meet the CEO. He's one of the smartest men on the face of the planet. And yeah, I'll let you know how it goes.
Well, definitely keep us updated. I mean, just seeing you're always traveling somewhere. Always, like, I assume you love traveling. Like, you've been, like, you've been to 30 countries or more
over the years. Just over 30. Yes.
Jeez, wow,
for either work or pleasure.
Wow. So besides everything else that you do, as you are Kate Johnson, like, do you have any downtime? Like, do you have any hobbies? Obviously, I'm sure there'll be something.
Oh my god, this is the most important thing, to be able to keep doing what you're doing. So I won't go into it too much, but my personality type is an empath, and it also means that as much as you give, you also need time to reset. And I've really made sure to allocate a lot of me time, as selfish as that sounds, but at the same time, when you are so busy, you really want that quality over quantity. So you do need time to reset. So on the weekend, when people sort of say, what are you going to get up to? Like, what are you doing? It's like, you know what? I'm reading a book and sitting in the sun, and I'm so loving it.
And that's it.
Or even something as simple as doing the washing and cleaning and tidying up, and people just think, when you're stressed, can you just come to my house and clean? I actually find that therapeutic. It's time just to zen and zone out, listen to music, and that's my me time. Catching up with friends, seeing family, and really just making time for people that are important in your life. And that way, come Monday, bang, straight back into it.
That's it. Business-wise, what is your vision? Like, overall, like, what is, like, being that you first started doing graphic designs and everything, and slowly moving around, like, did you have a vision straight away what you wanted to do exactly, or did you just work up to it?
It's evolved. It's always been a work in progress. And I think starting out to that girl who wanted to be the next Indiana Jones to now in that you're building and creating a lifestyle brand that you, and also just being the person that you wanted and needed when you were a teenager. I think it'll just be a constant work in progress and an evolution. So I'm also excited to see where it goes. Who knows?
Who knows? And,
who knows?
You know, we're all excited too. We all want to know what we're going to do next, you know? Have you thought about what else you want to pick up besides everything else? I mean, do you have enough room on your plate to pick up anything else?
No, I've got no room left on my plate. Yeah. Avocado, friends, family, work.
And coffee.
And coffee. And dogs. Yeah, that's it. I got enough. Yeah.
And that's it. Well, before we go closing, I just want to ask for the viewers, how can we find you, contact you, keep updated, stalk you, whatever?
I totally don't mind if you stalk me. That's totally fine. And if you write a comment on any of my work, I will always find a time to reply and respond.
Okay.
So my website is katejohnson.com.au, where you can head to my blog and also check out my lip glosses if you'd like to buy. I have a buy one get one free deal going, so make sure you jump on that. My social media is Kate Johnson Australia, or on Instagram and Twitter, the Kate Johnson _.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you. Now it's time for the 10 questions. Okay, first question. What is your favorite word?
Determination.
Ooh, interesting. It's good. It's good.
Thank you. Did I do okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You passed.
I passed. Okay, good.
Okay. What's your least favorite word?
Hate.
Hate
is a very strong word.
It is a very strong word, isn't it? I would never imagine
in a
you
negative
saying.
Connotation.
Yeah, I would never imagine you actually using the word hate.
I would more say something along the lines of, they were memorable. I just like, actually, I can't stand you. Like, no, just leave it. Just be diplomatic. You were memorable.
You're memorable. I have one. You're interesting. You're interesting.
You're so interesting.
You're so interesting. That was interesting. Okay. So, third, what turns you on, creative, spiritually, or emotionally?
Passion is a hell of a turn on, and intelligence is sexy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does it for me.
I don't see it. Why not? Because you are
Why not?
very passionate. Why not? Okay, so, and then what turns you off?
Arrogance. There's a fine line between confidence and arrogance, and you need a little bit of both to sort of get ahead. But at the same time, humility is such a beautiful thing. So,
how have you dealt with arrogance in any industry?
It's more you always have to work on it yourself, particularly modelling and pageantry. There is obviously that element of ego and confidence, I guess. But it's also recognising that you're human and you're not better than anyone else.
Yeah, and I guess you would say that the Air Force Cadets...
that sorts you out.
It will help you being
you're all
humble.
there, you're wearing the same uniform, you're working towards the same goal, and the team works. So if you're not a team player... Bye-bye.
Give me a backy off.
Yeah. See ya.
So what sound or noise do you love?
Oh my God. You know that sound? Cue aeroplane.
Airplane?
No, sometimes. If I'm actually on a camp with the Air Force Cadets or at the air show, it's like, what a time to be alive. And you just hear like all the jet noise and everyone just sort of going absolutely mental. But it's actually a really simple little thing. So I'm walking Maya and I can hear and see someone mowing their lawn. Or and you can actually smell that freshly cut grass. Or you're walking along and you just see an older couple holding hands eating a matching ice cream. And it's those sort of moments that you just catch yourself smiling. And yeah, it's kind of weird, I know, but that's...
No, it's like the little things.
It's the little
you
things,
need to
because one day
things.
you will realise that they are the big things.
That's it. That's true. And so what sound or noise do you find memorable or hate?
Hate's a strong word.
Yeah, I find memorable.
A noise that I find memorable. Probably sitting on an aeroplane listening to a child scream for about 6 hours. That's pretty memorable. But no, I don't think there's any sort of noise in particular that I would find displeasing. I think it's a balance of when you're working and you're in the zone, the background noise of people talking, listening to music, the little bit of construction going on when you work in the city, but particularly when I come home and it's just that completely zen environment where you've just got your own music on, or it's just a really quiet time. I like both. It's a balance.
Yeah. So it's kind of just trying to avoid the sound of distraction.
Distraction.
Trying to concentrate.
That's a good word. Yeah.
That's it. If you were stranded in a desert island, what would be the 3 main things that you would bring with you? Just 3.
3. Okay. I'm assuming that there's going to be food and water already. So can I just take my phone because Wi-Fi? Maya, she's coming naturally. And I would have to pick one family member or friend and a loved one. And I'm not going to say which one because if they're all watching, it's clearly I'm just game over. I'll never be invited. So I would take a loved one, Maya, and my phone. And I'm assuming wherever I'm stranded, there's going to be water and avocados. So
avocados.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. Well, who knows? Maybe be stranded with avocado.
In which case, I'll not be stranded. I'm not coming back. Yeah.
So I'm fine.
Like I'm fine.
So, what Okay, well, this is going to be interesting question. What other profession than your own would you like to attempt?
Attempt? Oh, that's a fascinating question. I've always wondered what it would be like being a nurse and actually saving someone's life. But I'm so bad with needles and I'm not so great with blood, and so it's just one of those. I can just watch it on TV and love it, and really love that part of when you see them going through that traumatic stage, reviving them, helping them, and then meeting the families to say thank you all these years later. I think that would be a beautiful experience.
Wow, that's amazing. So, and then what profession would you not like to attempt? Most least.
Oh, probably working in a cancer unit, particularly if it's terminal, because you think you would just have such a strong connection to the person going through it and their family, but you know their time is only limited, and it doesn't matter how good you are and what you do, you know that you're going to lose them. That would be the hardest.
Yeah, it would be. And last question, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear from God for him to say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
You did the right thing. You know how everyone goes through life and you just sort of think, am I on the right path? Did I do the right thing? Did I say the right thing? It's like when you're a new-time parent and you just think, am I doing a good job? And who's going to tell you that you are or aren't? And so I think when you actually get to heaven, or whatever religion you have and in what place of being that is, you just think, well, I did the best I could. And I think that one time it would be nice to have that validation of, yeah, you did okay.
Yeah, well, I believe, and I'm sure everyone else do believe that you are doing the right thing. You're doing absolutely your best. You're inspiring people. You're changing people's lives. And I just want to say thank you so much for coming on the show. We loved having you. So
thank you for having me.
Good luck with everything, and we'll keep updated to see what that sneak peek was.
May will tell all, I promise.
Yes.